Welcome everybody. We're so happy that you could join us on these Friday Zooms for mindset and personal growth. If you're not here with us live, we hope that you can enjoy the recording. So these Friday mindset Zooms are for personal growth and mindset, really having an opportunity to come together and connect as soul specialists. So there are 4 soul specialists, or those that are interested in becoming a soul specialist. So if there's anyone that you have in mind to include on these Friday meetings, feel free to do that. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick. Let's see here. Where is it? So we know that a lot of the times we get in our own way when it comes to our mindset. Whatever our goals are that we are dealing with, we kind of jump out of the gate running. We have a lot of motivation. So I love this quote: motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. So we're hoping that this habit of coming together every week and having a space to do that will be helpful to you and your team, because a lot of times we just end up getting discouraged. We get in our own way. Maybe something valid has happened in our life, and you know, we end up taking that, and it kind of ends up snowballing. It kind of gets worse and worse, and we get in our own head, and then things get bigger. So today we're going to talk about the 4 of us, Rebecca, Tammy, Rachel, and myself, our own soul business story, what led us to soul, and just kind of a little bit about our own journey. Before I go into my own personal story, I just wanted to say, because I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't address something here on the topic of mindset and motivation and habits and all of that. If you are in a space, or you have been in a space in the past, or if you face something in the future that's a really, really hard, extreme stress or trauma of any kind, we see you. Like, there's times where I've been there personally, where no mindset quote or inspirational meeting was going to get me out of that space. And so I just want to give attention a little bit to give yourself the patience and the grace and the permission to deal with those feelings and that time, but then just know that this space is here for you, and you have a tribe and a community that is there for you when you are able to get back to where you need to be. So with that said, my soul story, I want to start with a quote, because Rachel has been my mindset coach now for almost 8 years. I would not have been able to pull myself out of the trenches many, many times if it weren't for her positive, just everything, her mindset. And there's somebody wanting to get in, let me admit them. So one of her quotes that she would always say is, "What we think about, we bring about." And it kind of irritated me so many times when she would say that, because I'd be like, whatever, like, that is not true. But I have to tell you that more than a handful of times, I have seen that happen in my life. As soon as my mindset changes, things start happening, and it's incredible. And so it really, really is true. And so these Friday meetings are so important. So when I learned about Soul Naturals, it was almost 8 years ago this spring, and I had my 4 children were very young. I had 2 in diapers. And I felt like my health was in the gutter. I was taking tons of herbs. I was paying to see an herbalist, and I just was constant. And that gets depressing, right? We know how that mind-body connection works. So when I heard about Soul's products and tried them, and my husband was kind of like, "You need to do this. You need to share. You need to do this as a business." And I was like, "Heck no! I've got enough on my plate. I got these 4 little kids. I feel better for 1 month and you're trying to get me to like take on a job. Like, like, but then Rachel was also there to encourage me. And in a nutshell, my soul journey has helped me in every way possible. Not only has it helped me with my health and my wellness, both mentally and physically, it has brought in relationships that I would not have had otherwise, all over the country, friendships that I cherish so much. It's helped my family financially. It's given me extra spending money to have when I needed it, and sometimes actually paid the bills when my husband was, struggling at work. I've been fortunate enough to go on a couple amazing trips. But really the beginning was really just people seeing a difference in myself. And that's really how my business started to grow is people was noticing that things were like they were like, what are you doing? You're not drinking coffee all day long and needing a nap every day and snapping at everybody. So I am so thankful for this opportunity to not only have the tools that I have needed for myself and my family, but that so many others have come alongside me and I've been able to watch their journeys, and it's been extremely encouraging. And even in my darkest days where I had to take my own break from my business because of things that were going on in my own life, that business structure was still there. This tribe was still here, and it actually gave me the ropes that I needed to pull myself back out. So I'm extremely thankful for that. So with that, I am going to turn the time over to Tammy, and she's going to tell us about her soul story.
Hello, everybody. I'm sure you all know and I'm tired of hearing from me, but I'm going to tell y'all anyway. So my good friend, Michelle, she and I have kept in touch for 25 years, and she knew I was a hot mess. I had 2 small kids. I had 2 less than Natalie, and I was still a mess. I was emotional, and I had always been in bad health. And it really came from years and years and years of having great insurance and going to the doctor every time I sneezed and being on antibiotics for 20 years. But it ended up affecting me emotionally. And so by the time I had my children, I was just a mess. And of course, you can't Google it without having everything that Google says. So then I was depressed, and Michelle and I would travel together. And I always trusted, she was always real level-headed, and she didn't just jump at everything. So we went on vacation one time, and she had just found soul, and I was at my darkest. And she said, just try this. So I tried it, and I bought everything, and I took it when I was feeling bad. But fast forward to about a year later, and she called me on the day I was sitting in my chair crying, which I don't think was a coincidence personally. I literally could not get out of the chair. The house was a mess. The kids were crazy, and I was crying. And immediately she's like, what is wrong? So she packed me up a box full of soul. That was 7 years ago. And then she signed me up for soul. Like, no, you need to sell this. So I'm like, okay. And I always like to sell things. I've sold everything, but I told her, I'm like, I am done selling things. I'll just take it. I don't want to sell anything else. I've sold makeup, and with Levon, I sold legal, and I sold 2 makeups. And what else did I sell? I don't know. I had literally, you guys, I've sold everything. So I'm like, no more. But she's like, well, just in case you tell somebody. I was like, okay, I'll try it, but I'm not telling anybody. Well, then she's like, let me come down and let's do a meeting. And I'm like, okay. She was, and a founder is coming. And I was like, a founder? So then I could not back out of it. And I wanted to back out of it so bad for the whole time she was planning it. But everybody knows Lon. And he flew down here to my house. I mean, he stayed in a hotel, but he came and he did a presentation for me. I was the first one in Houston. And let me just say that because I was a hairdresser and I'm a talker, I'm kind of an open book, everybody knew what a mess I was. So whenever they started seeing me feel better, they were like, I want what she's having. So I'm telling you, it snowballed. It just snowballed because people want to feel better. Even though, you know, I wasn't trying to like take advantage of my friends, or I was just like, oh my goodness, I feel so good. You've got to try this. Okay, I feel better. And then they gave it to their grandma and their mom and their kids. And so for me, it was just an immediate success. Now, fast forward 7 years, that's been more of a roller coaster. And I just always felt like what I really wanted to do is help people feel better. I didn't care about the business aspect. I didn't care about the money I made, but I know people need to feel better. And now here we are in the middle of COVID, and so many people are desperate, desperate, desperate. I don't even have to try. You know, I'm getting calls all day long now just by putting myself out there, by making a video, a 5-minute video. People are resonating with the fact that they're in a hopeless place, or their children are, or their husband or their wife is. So anyway, I feel like Soul has saved me. It's in my go bag. I might not have a pair of pants and a top in my go bag, but I have my Soul. And I have met the most amazing friends that I'm going to have forever now. I mean, we all travel together. You can look at any of my pictures, and a lot of people don't realize that we're all related. And I love them all. So anyway, it's nice to meet everybody. I'm so glad y'all are here. And I just feel like Soul is just amazing, just for so many reasons. So Rebecca Norman is going to tell us her story. Rebecca, take it over.
All right. So as a lot of you know, Rachel's my sister, so she's also my mentor, because I had the privilege of watching her story, which you'll hear about in a little bit. But for me and my family, I kind of was holding on with a death grip to all these herbs that we were taking before. My son struggles with ADHD and depression, very severe depression. And he has struggled with this since he was, I mean, as long as he's been able to articulate it. I mean, it started when he was in preschool. Well, it didn't start, but it hit a point where we had to do something when he was in preschool, and I go in his bedroom and he's trying to scratch the skin off his arms and he's crying. You know, he was just a wreck. So I knew I had to do something, and it was probably going to be medication, because I was so scared of him hurting himself. You know, when you operate out of fear, sometimes you jump the gun and you might make the wrong decision. But fortunately, I was able to take a step back and try the natural approach first. We had him on over 10 supplements, and I'm talking about a 4-year-old kid that I had to bribe with $1 to get him to swallow a pill to get him to start. Once he knew he could do it, he did it, and that was the end of the dollar. But it was such a long journey finding the right combinations for him. And we had gotten to a point where he was doing okay in school. He was still having a hard time socially with the kids in school. He still struggled with depression more often than he was feeling okay. But we hadn't had any of the major dips that we had had before. So we were holding on. Well, when Soul came along, I was so scared of him going backwards. I kept everything for him to be using that we were already using, but I started with Soul, and we started with Soul Vital, Cinnamate, and Adaptable. Those were the 3 that we started with immediately. And I only did those to start because I wanted to see if it was actually working. And I kid you not, it was 3 days and he totally changed. So from there on, he has gotten better and better. This was almost 8 years ago. He's 17 years old. He was able to be in team sports. He became a straight A student. He is social. He is so warm and so kind. And he has this light in him that was gone for a long time. And Soul brought that back in him. And he knows now that this tool is the formula. This is the program that works for him. If he misses it, it's very bad. And you can tell by the end of the day that he is not getting the food that his brain needs to function correctly. And so now he's about to go into adulthood and he knows what works. He has the tools. And my goal with him from his whole life was to make sure that he had the tools that he would need to be happy, to be able to reach his goals, all the different types of goals that he had, and not to be another statistic, because so many young people end up turning to drugs and alcohol because they're trying to quiet their brain or numb out, or just have some quiet in their head for just a minute. And it breeds this whole future of crime, of depression, of addiction. I mean, it's terrible, and just self-destruction. And so for me, seeing the power that these formulas have had in not only my son's life, but my husband's, mine, and so many people that I love, it is so powerful. And to know that you have something that can help people endure and maybe live a happier life. And then on top of it, I can actually help support the family with this. I mean, it's such a gift. And we all have to work. We all have to, most people have to work. Most people have to make a living. And so this is such a wonderful tool, because not only did it give me my family and my son back, but it's allowed me to be available to them all the time, because I'm not out working a full-time job. I'm home, and they know that I'm accessible all the time, and it's just a beautiful gift. So how can I not share it? So I love what Natalie said at the intro about, if you're in a dark place, if you're going through horrible times or it's coming, you have a safe place here. I'm so glad she said that, because I think most people hit spots in their life where they feel like there's just no light, but there is. And you have a whole group of people here that will love and support you through whatever is ahead for you or what you're going through, and you're not alone. And this is such a beautiful tool to be able to take advantage of you to help you get through those dark times. So that's it. Now, wait, it's Rachel's turn. I'm like, and adieu. No, it's Rachel's turn now. So we want to hear from her now.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I love hearing everybody. It's so awesome and so exciting. So obviously some of you have, most all of you have heard my story. So I'm going to do an abbreviated version. It's so important. We want all of you guys to know, what motivated us to want to even start Solle in the first place, and what it's done for our lives, so that you can see the potential for all of you guys and people that you love and care about, or you may not even know yet. Rebecca and I, both our grandmother, she was an herbalist our whole lives growing up. She had an herb store in Oregon. She had one, a wellness center out here in Palm Springs. Oh crap, I'm gonna cry. She just died, so it's kind of sad. But anyways, here we go. Anyways, but she taught us that. See, now I have a new thing to cry about, you guys. I always have my old stuff. But anyways, she really taught us the value of looking to natural alternatives for whatever we were dealing with. So Rebecca and I both had that mindset. It was, okay, whatever's going on, let's figure out a solution naturally to find it. And so quick little story, because most of you know it, but I struggled with depression since I was very young. I do believe there was some chemical imbalances. I also believe it was environmental because of our family life. I got married at 15 years old, thinking that was going to solve my problem. So let's just say it got a heck of a lot worse after that. I got pregnant at 16. My ex was driving a car recklessly, wouldn't slow down, was drinking, and he rolled the truck. I was ejected out, and it crushed my lower body and almost killed me, and did kill my child that I was 6 months pregnant with. The doctors said I wouldn't live. They said because I was determined, once I knew I was conscious that I was going to make it. Then they said, well, you're not going to ever be able to walk again. You're not going to be able to have children. And then it sent me through a lifelong journey of hell, but also learning strength and reliance on the most powerful source we could have. But they told me I'd be severely crippled by the time I was 30, but I was very determined. So I never would take what anyone said. I just was like, and that's part of my rebellious spirit. I have a rebellious spirit, but it's because I had to. So I have to temper it sometimes, anyway. But I was like, you're not going to tell me I'm not going to walk, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do that. And so I was always a fighter and trying to find a solution. I became horribly addicted to my pain medication because I was so traumatized. I was 16. I was in a traumatizing marriage on top of it. And I lost my baby. I had to deliver. I was a child. I didn't even know how to function properly. How do you process something like that? And then I was stuck in that marriage for 23 years. And yeah, so let's just say over time, I got to a point where, at first the drugs helped me to cope physically. It helped me to walk. It helped me to do things. And I was so young, and all of a sudden I'm like an old person. I was athletic. I loved sports, all that. And at 16, it was all gone, and I mean, fortunately I could walk, so like, I'm so grateful for that. I mean, it could have been so much worse. But I did end up having 2 beautiful girls. And with that came a lot of physical trauma. And so I took pain pills to help me do things with them and be an active mother and try to be everything I wanted to be, completely opposite of what I was raised with. So at first I thought it was just an answer to a prayer, and it ended up almost killing me multiple times. So I ended up in rehab 5 times to overcome that. But the underlying issues were still there. The imbalances in my brain, the chronic pain and inflammation I was dealing with, the trauma of losing that baby and being trapped in a situation I couldn't get out of yet. And so I just got to the point where I knew I wasn't going to make it much longer. And I overdosed in a pool. I almost drowned. If somebody hadn't been there, I wouldn't be here right now. And so there's multiple things that have happened throughout my lifetime. And I had tried natural things. My grandma was always like, well, try this, try that, so like Rebecca, I had like a cupboards full of herbs, because it's like, take this for your depression, take this for your arthritis, take this for your fibromyalgia, take this for your anxiety, take this for, like so much stuff. And I ended up clean off of my pain meds. But then I started drinking alcohol because it's so socially acceptable, and I didn't like feeling left out, and it's a thing. So I ended up, but alcohol is a depressant. So if you're dealing with depression, that's the worst thing you could do is alcohol. So I ended up very suicidal. I cut myself. I was just like done. I couldn't function anymore. And after I got out of my 5th rehab, I was done. I was broken. I was like, I cannot live like this anymore. And I prayed and prayed, because that's what I believe in. And I just begged for help to know what to do, because I couldn't do it anymore. Like I had lost my fight. I lost my hope. And I've never lost that before that time, because I've always believed there was a solution. But at this point, like, I've tried everything. I've done everything. I took medication. I was on bipolar meds. I was on antidepressants, and I hated how I felt. Like, I mean, I'm not knocking meds, but for me, I hated it. I felt like a zombie. I had no emotion. I felt nothing. And that's not what I want for my life, is to feel nothing. And the bipolar meds made me just tired and groggy like a zombie. I tried natural stuff. Nothing was enough. It might help for a little bit, but it was never enough. And after that, when I prayed and prayed and prayed, that week, Greg Halliday, the founder and president of Soul Naturals, happened to fly in from Utah to see my grandma at her store. And I was going after hours, so I didn't have to see anyone. And there he was, sitting at that table with our grandma, talking to her about how he designed this company that is formulated to balance the mind and body at the same time, using adaptogenic combinations, because his wife suffered from depression for 25 years and nothing worked for her. And he had access to everything amazing because he was president of another company, and nothing worked for her. She ended up on antidepressants, and she didn't want to stay on them. So that was his motivation with this company, is finding the right combinations. And so he was talking about it, and my grandma's like, hey, if you can fix her, I'll be a believer. And I'm like, thanks, Grandma. And so I was like, whatever, because when I saw it, I was like, it's just like everything else to me. I mean, I've tried things that are in here. Like, I look at the Soulflex PI. Well, I've tried turmeric. I've tried white willow bark. Like, I've done St. John's wort. I've done, like all these things, but I was so desperate that I said, it is worth a shot. I am worth a shot. What if it works? But if it doesn't, so what? I spend so much money on stupid crap. Like, who cares if it doesn't work? I mean, at least you can try, you know? And so I did. And I've always believed in natural health. I am very passionate about it. I want to fix everyone and make everybody happy. And so I already had that passion to begin with. I trained under my grandma, and I worked in her store for a long time. So I actually had to borrow the money to get these products because I was broke as a joke. And my grandma lent me the money, and I signed up as a specialist also at the same time because I figured, if it works. And plus back then it was 59 bucks. Now it's only 75. So it's like, that's nothing. I figured, well, you know, if it works, you never know. Maybe it could be something I help people with, but I had no hopes of it. I was just like, it's like everything else probably. Well, anyways, basically after 2 days being on this program, I did 4 things. I did Adaptable, Solflex PI, Sol Vital, and Cinemate. That's all I did, those 4 things. And I've also believed there was a link to alcoholism and blood sugar issues, because whenever people get off alcohol, they gain 20, 30 pounds because they turn to sugar, 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 sugar. So I've always felt there was a connection, but I just had never found the right thing. So I started taking all that. Within 2 days, I felt like everything changed. Like the clouds had opened up for the first time, and it was like, boop, you know, and my alcohol cravings were going away. And I was like, this is weird. Like, this is really weird. Like, I hope this is not placebo. I hope it's not my mind just trying to believe, because I believe in all that. I believe our mind is powerful. So, and then I just started feeling like I'd wake up happy, and I'm just like, this is weird crap. I've never experienced this. Like, and so I messaged Greg, the founder, and I was like, dude, I probably said dude too, because he's really cool like that. I was like, is there something illegal in here? Because there must be, because I feel so good. I strike that from the record. Anyways, not that you'd feel good from that. Okay, I'm just kidding. But anyways, so I just thought, no way is this real. But I just was like consistent every day. I'm going to be consistent. Consistency is so important. You can't just take it once and be like, okay, it didn't work. I mean, think of how long it takes our bodies and minds to get screwed up. It took how old are we, you know? And so we got to give things time to change the environment and be consistent. Well, anyways, so this is what happened. My whole life changed, not only emotionally, mentally, physically, but I also have to tell you, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I never worked. I mean, I didn't work other than under my grandma, but I barely graduated high school. I don't have a college degree. I'm not certified in anything. And a business started only because I wanted to help people. I wasn't like, ooh, I'm going to make money. Ooh, I'm going to recruit people to do this. That was never, ever even on my radar, because I had written off network marketing companies because I hate the pressure. I hate the pressure. So I was praying about that, because my ex told me, you're going to have to get a job. And I'm like, how? I don't know what to do. And I'm like a mess. That was before Solle. So when I found this, I had prayed. I was like, I just don't want to do network marketing. I was like, should I go back to college? Should I like be in real estate? But I don't want to do any MLMs. Okay. Like literally, I'm like praying about that. And it's so funny because this is integrated marketing. So it doesn't feel anything like your typical network marketing company. I'm not knocking it, because like everybody has to find where they fit. But I don't like pressure, and I don't like focusing on money, and I don't like focusing on things like that. I just want to focus on people. And so that's what I did. I just focused on, you know, sharing my heart and my story. I put my testimonial on YouTube 3 months into my program, which was really, really hard, because I'm literally putting out there that I was addicted to pills and alcohol, and I was suicidal, and I've been to rehab, but I felt that it was so necessary in order to reach people that are suffering, that don't want to talk about it. And so from there to here, within a very short amount of time, I reached a founding position in the company. It was in 6 months. I earned a trip for 2 to Costa Rica, a car allowance, a founding position, and I only focused on people, like sharing my heart, being real with people, and people were coming to me like, what in the world are you doing? And that's how it grew. And that's how Natalie joined my team. She saw my Facebook stuff, you know, I never went into products. I shared what, you know, oh my gosh, I finally feel like the clouds are gone, you know, and she's the one who reached out to me. I met her one time at a camping trip. Mind you, I wasn't sober. And also a side note, I know I'm way going over. What time is it? Oh, shoot. Okay, sorry. We're supposed to keep this at 30 minutes. Are you guys okay if I keep talking a couple more minutes? Okay. No.
We're dinging you.
Okay. I know we're supposed to stick to 30 minutes. Well, anyways, let's just say at this point, I make a 6-figure income with Solle. And we're talking somebody who hated school, don't have a degree, barely made it through high school, and took care of my children. And I have traveled the world because of Solle, and I have met amazing women like all of you guys. And I know there's something else that I need to say. Oh, and I like have always dreamt of doing this particular volunteer work that we all know about. Anyways, and so I was able to start that. Somebody who was super screwed up and who struggled a lot. And I can do that because I can set my own hours and I'm not a slave to a job. And I'll end there. See, it wasn't too bad. Thank you. I know.
Thank you.
I'm muting myself now.
We love you. Okay, so I will go through this really quick. We want to tell you about an opportunity to win Solle swag. So every single Tuesday at, I believe it's 11:30 Pacific Standard Time, we are featuring a Solle Naturals product. Now, you have the opportunity to invite anyone. It is not specific to specialists. It is open to the public. So whoever has the most attendees at our Tuesday product launch will earn a $50 credit to spend as you wish in the Solle shop. So we want to encourage you to invite people to our Tuesday product passion Zooms, 11:30 Pacific time. And then next Friday on this Zoom, we will announce the winner. So you may be wondering, well, what should I tell them that the next Tuesday is about? We are going to focus on Cinemate. And yes, my memory served me correctly. It is 11:30. We will also be doing a raffle weekly on these Tuesdays for everyone that's live in attendance. They will be entered into a raffle to earn something Solle related, whether it's a oil roll-on. I'm a big fan of the new bars of soap, but we'll change it up weekly and we'll have prizes for attendees that are live on our Tuesday product Zoom. Now, here is a all-in-one. If you want to take a picture of this, I've also updated it in the Heart and Soul group. These are all the opportunities to have Solle trainings throughout the week. So if you have somebody that's like, oh, I'm just not available on Tuesdays or Fridays, we have lots of opportunities, whether it's Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Tuesday, Friday. We have monthly corporate events. The virtual happy hours and the Inside Solle are great opportunities to learn from Allison. And then we are going to do a monthly opportunity meeting following this presentation on the first Friday of every month. So with that, I just want to thank you for coming. If you have any questions about any of that I just threw at you real quick, feel free to message us on Facebook or wherever you communicate with your person that invited you. So anybody have any questions or want to share anything?
Did you say what next Friday is about our why?
Oh, I'm sorry. Next Friday is about our why. So please come prepared. You have a week to write down your own why, and you'll have an opportunity to share that as well. Did I miss anything else? Nope. Okay.
Well, next Friday, we're going to be talking about the importance of the why. And so that's what we're going to touch on. And then that way you guys can know, like, where do you want to begin? How do we tap into that when things get hard? So that'll be really good. I think that's it. Anybody else? Okay. Go ahead.
And
Rachel.
remember, you
I have
can
a question.
bring people that are interested also. If you have someone that's interested in be a special. Sorry, Rachel. More.
I was just going to ask if this is the same Zoom link every week. Okay,
Yes, it is.
I'll save it then.
Yeah.
Thank you. Y'all are awesome.
Maria, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. All of this is very new to me. I'm starting to do research and check into the company. But from what I get from you all, so this company is more or less about 8 years old.
Yes.
So basically, I could say that you all are the very first people that started with the company.
Yeah, I think Tammy was the first in Houston. I was the first here in Oregon. So yeah, it was when I signed up to be a specialist, the company was less than a year old. So we've seen the growth, the enormous growth that they have had in the last 8 years, and never have they failed to impress me, whether it's from the president, the founder, Greg, his integrity, not only to the products and the quality of the products, the potency of the products, which is of course why they work so well, but also as a person, his heart, his motives, it shines through in everything he does. And it's why we all love, you know, because it's like, it's easy to fall in love with a product, but when those roots are in so much integrity, it's hard to find nowadays. So
I'd like to say something too, because what's really awesome is, you know, Soul Naturals has been steadily growing, but they've done it in a sustainable way because they're not like a raw hype company. They've slowly grown. So even right now, like you could say that we're still in the growing phase. You know what I mean? Even though it's 8 years old, you know, they say when you're looking for a company to be with, you know, you want them to be at least 5 years old because you want them to be around, like because they pop up every day. And so with this, like you have the foundation of a 5-year-old, 8-year-old company, but the growth of a starting company, because a lot of people still don't know about Soul, you know? So it's kind of like you're coming in on the ground floor, but with the stability of an 8-year-old company, you know? So it's actually pretty cool because I know people that have never heard of it before. Like a lot of people, it's not saturated at all. It's steady growth. So it's a really cool, you know, company to be behind.
And something I want to add to that is when I started, I had never heard of adaptogenic herbs before. I never heard of them. I never saw them. And within a couple of years, I'm shopping at the grocery store and there's like a whole side case of like different adaptogens. They were all singular. And now it's like this, I go to the farmer's market and there's like an ashwagandha booth. And so they're always on the cutting edge because of the experience and the history that they have from the previous company with formulating products and also their sources, like their raw materials. They have the best of the best to be able to put their combinations together. So I am always impressed how even with our newest product, the longevity, they're on the cutting edge of this reindeer lichen that's a plant-based vitamin D. And they're like, we're the only ones that are going to be able to say there's 1,000 IUs. Like you're going to see this ingredient start popping up in the future, but they won't say how much is in it. So that's something that's always impressed me is the cutting edge there. It's like I've seen how they've always kind of been ahead of the trend, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you all's testimonies. I really liked them, enjoyed them.
Can I say one more thing to Maria? So Greg that we're all talking about, who also has come to my house and done a presentation for me, and he's the president of the company, but he's not brand new in the industry. He actually was with another company. He's been in the industry since, I guess, he got out of college, but he was actually the president of another company, a big company, for 20 years and left because he wanted to form this company that was all about mind and body and combinations and adaptogenic herbs. So even though we're kind of a newer company, he's not newer and already had like relationships with these growers that he trusted and these manufacturers that he trusted. So that way, you know, everything started off on the right foot as far as, you know, we're not fumbling around trying to find our way.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. We hope
I do have one thing I wanted to say.
Thank you.
If you can, one question. My problem is I love everything. I don't like, I'm trying to figure out like, how do I pick? Like I have basic things, but everything I try, I really like it. And I'm just like, I'm not going to just be taking everything. So well, how do you process that? And how do you figure out, well, what's good for me? And I don't know. It's kind of
Who
overwhelming.
wants to take that one? You want me to take it or you want to take it? Okay. Okay. So this is how I do things with people. I stick to the core program of the immune package. The immune package is the Soul Vital, Cinemate, and Adaptable. To me, that's like an amazing foundation. And I start with that with everyone.
Okay.
And then I'll ask them like, what are your top 3 things that you need help with? You know, and I listen to them. And if they say I have horrible digestive issues, then I'll say, okay, well, let's start with this core program and let's add the probiotics and Bertazymes or something like that. You know, I tailor it to what they need. Or if they have like arthritis like me or chronic pain issues, I'll add the Solflex PI to that program. So I keep things simple because I don't want to overwhelm people and I want them to get results.
Right.
So that's just me. That's just what I've done with people. But there's, you know, there's a lot to learn, but I don't like a ton of information. I'm like, I know a lot of people do, but I don't really. So it's like, I just want to keep it simple and see how you feel. And then we'll go from there. That's just how I like it.
Okay.
And there's always, whether I mean, for me personally, over the years, I've just gotten kind of in the habit of listening to my body and really kind of knowing, I just tend to grab what I need. And I know that sounds so stupid. So, I have to say that's honestly what I do. But we also have a tool, which is the personal health assessment, where you can regularly take that assessment and your top, you know, your number 1 product will be listed all the way to your number 10 product. So we usually tell people, you know, look at your first top 4, maybe 5 at the most. But take it with a grain of salt to where you're still listening to your body. Because if something comes up as number 1 and you're like, well, I really feel like I need number 10. Well, then trust your gut on that. But, you know, stick to 3, 4, 5 products, whatever your budget and your situation allows for. But it is a good tool to share with others and to continue to take for yourself, is to kind of be like, oh yeah, you know, because sometimes we don't even realize how we're feeling. We just get through each day. And then when we have to sit down and take that assessment, it's like, oh yeah, this is what's my body's trying to tell me. So it's a tool that we can use and have available to us if needed.
Okay. That helps.
And let me just say that, I mean, for those of us that have been doing this forever, I have everything in my house. That doesn't mean I take everything every day. You know what I mean? So like what Natalie was saying about like, trust your gut and how are you feeling like today? You know what? I mean, there's things I take every single day, like the drinks, you know, probably what you have. But then like today, I'm in a lot of pain. So I may grab this. Or today, you know, I'm just like, I've got brain fog. So, you know, I'll add in this. There are things I take every day and then things I have to pull in kind of as my tool when I need them too.
Gotcha.
But I do have everything. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel as well. It just from day to day, like, it just kind of depends. But I always have kind of like my maintenance, you know,
Right.
if I ever run out of those maintenance things, my body tells me. So I've had shoulder surgery and back surgery and all kinds of stuff. And so I recently just ran out of Flex PI for like a week, and it's really, really quick where you remember what that was like. Sometimes you think, oh, I'm fine. I don't really need this anymore. And then I run out of it for a week and I'm like, oh, that's what it's doing for me.
Yeah. I think I'd be afraid to not have that now because it has helped me so much. So, okay, well, that helps. Thank you, everybody.
She has a great testimony that she needs to record.
Yeah, I will.
LaVon.
One day I'll do it.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. We'll have to talk about it because I understand that. But
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank
so
you
much,
everybody for being here today. I'm sorry we went over time, but we hope to see you again on Tuesday.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Guys.
Have a good weekend.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for
Bye.
coming, y'all.
Bye.